Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be answering the question, was Noah's Ark a literal wooden boat? Now, if you're a regular on this channel, then you know that we answer questions about the Bible, theology, apologetics, and anything related to the Christian faith. So let's jump right into today's question. Was Noah's Ark a literal wooden boat? Well, that all depends on what you think of Noah's Ark in general. The first thing we need to do is define our terms. What exactly are we talking about when we talk about Noah's Ark? Are we talking about a big wooden boat that was built by Noah that ended up saving him and his family and a bunch of animals from the flood that God sent on the earth? Or are we talking about something symbolic or figurative? Well, if you look at the text, it seems to say that it was a literal boat. In Genesis chapter 6, verse 14, it says, "Make for yourself an ark of gopher wood. Make rooms in the ark and cover it inside and outside with pitch." And so it goes on to explain how it's supposed to be made. It gives these exact measurements of the ark, how tall it is, how wide it is, how long it is, and tells Noah exactly how to make this boat. If you read further on, in chapter 7, it says, "And the rain continued to fall on the earth for 40 days and 40 nights. Then the floodwaters rose and became great on the earth, and the boat was floating on the surface of the water." So it seems pretty clear from these passages that Noah's Ark was a literal boat made out of gopher wood that floated on the water, and it is how Noah and his family survived the flood. However, we have to remember that just because it says it was a boat doesn't necessarily mean that that's what it was. Sometimes in the Bible, it uses figurative language, and it's not meant to be taken literally. So the question is, could this passage be figurative language? Well, one argument for that is that the ark wasn't just for Noah and his family, but it was also for the animals. It says in Genesis chapter 6, verse 19, "And of every living thing of all flesh, you shall bring 2 of every sort into the ark, male and female, to keep them alive with you. Thus you shall do, making the ark of gopher wood." And then it explains how they're supposed to take in like 7 pairs of every clean animal and 2 of every unclean animal. So some people say if you were actually to put all of these animals on a boat, even the livestock and the birds, it would sink the boat. So therefore it couldn't have been a literal boat. However, there are many ways around this objection. First of all, we don't know how many animals actually got on the boat. It only says that they were to bring 2 of every kind, but it doesn't say that they actually did. So maybe they only brought 2 of every kind of animal, and that wouldn't be a problem. Also, we don't know how big the boat actually was. Maybe it was much bigger than what we've imagined or what we've drawn out in these pictures. Maybe it was actually able to hold all of the animals and still float. The other argument is that since the rain fell for 40 days and 40 nights, and it took 150 days for the waters to recede, that it couldn't have been a literal boat because there's no way that all of that rain could have fallen in that amount of time. But again, we don't actually know how much rain actually fell during those 40 days. Maybe it was a normal amount of rain that, yes, would have been able to fill up the valleys and the low areas and cause the rivers to overflow, but not necessarily cause all of the water that we have on the earth today. So there's definitely room for debate on this issue. However, I personally believe that Noah's Ark was a literal boat. I believe that it was made out of gopher wood. I believe that Noah and his sons built it exactly how God told him to build it. I believe they took the animals on board, and God closed the door. And I believe that it floated on the water, and that's how they survived the flood. But what do you think? Do you think that Noah's Ark was a literal wooden boat? Or do you think it was more symbolic? Let us know in the comment section below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We post new videos every single week answering your questions about the Bible and the Christian faith. So if you want to be notified when we post new videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.